Stopping into today's video. So today in front of me I have a New Hope Vader V2 MPP. Now, a little backstory on this hilt. For A New Hope, there was two belt hangers. There is the V2 and also the V1 bent nail. Now, if you haven't seen that hilt before, I have a video on my channel going through the V1 and all of its accuracy details, so definitely check that out if you can. But yeah, so this is the V2. So this one actually has more screen time than the V1. The V1 is the first lightsaber we see in Star Wars totally, being on Vader's belt when he arrives on the Tantive 4. We're going to go over exactly what we have in front of us in terms of what parts were used in the company. So I'm going to go off by saying that this is a Roman Props MPP. This is by far the best MPP on the market, in my opinion, in terms of accuracy and functionality, because you can make this an actual flash handle if you put batteries in it. But in terms of accuracy, yes, Roman Props by far is the best MPP you can get, other than getting a vintage, obviously, but that's a lot more expensive. So this is definitely a good option for those that want a replica and is accurate. So we have a Roman Props MPP. This is an earlier version Roman Props MPP. The newer gens have a little bit of different features, but this one specifically is an early version. Now, with that being said, I have a newer Roman shroud, which will go into detail on that. Also, I have a more flat finished clamp from the custom saber shop. I prefer this for A New Hope sabers because it has a more dull finish, as A New Hope MPPs did, as well as the sleeve. The clamp sleeve is a plastic style, where Romans is more of a rubbery feel and is thicker on the Romans, but I prefer the custom saber shop clamp and liner. But I do have the Roman Props bars and lever because that is what I chose with that, because the lever matches more accurate to the vintage. And yes, so with those few things out of the way, let's go into some of the accuracy details. So I really like the newer Roman shroud. The texture is great. Now, if you're wondering, I actually dulled it down with some steel wool, because I have the vintage one-step shroud, so I wanted to make it as accurate as possible. So I decided to dull the finish down on this shroud to match my vintage one-step shroud, and it turned out great. And then, based on only 2 photos of the V2 that we have, I tried to match the scratches on the shroud. Now, and for reference, because the picture I zoomed in like this, so it's about the width of the port, and it starts at the one port and kind of goes a little bit past. So I tried replicating that the best I can. A little scratch there, as well as there, and then there's a little rub line and scratch there, a little chip here on the inner shroud, and then more of a rub mark here based on the reference material. I tried my best on it. I think it turned out great. And I have the thumb screw that came from the Roman shroud. It's a great, I compared it to my vintage, and it's a nice thumb screw. And I have this, I got it on a shop on Etsy, Intergalactic Parts. He has some found D-rings, and I love the shape and the dimensions of this D-ring, so that's why I chose it. And a lot of people glue this down for moving. I know these props had, a loose D-ring on there, so I wasn't really too concerned with that. So if you take a peek in here, you can see that the bulb socket's a little dirty, and that is because I pulled a vintage bulb socket from a Highland 3-cell flash. It's near identical to the MPP inner core, or the bulb core. So I chose to put that in here to give it a nice little detail. And you can see here on the ports, You have your B port, obviously, and then you have the tab to try to lining it as best I could. One thing to take note is I had to do a little disassembly of the core to make it fit in this, and the bolts, or the screws I should say, sorry, they are in the Highland bulb assembly. So I had to, at first I was going to try to drill and tap, but then I was going to then also drill a little pilot hole and try threading these screws in, but one actually snapped. So I said, you know what, I'm going to grind the screws down to the faces of them are only there, and I'm just going to E6000 them on. That's what I did, because actually this, I believe this screw here, I had to drill a little hole, and that kind of holds it in place anyway, where it is exactly. So, and it's functional. You can hear it go up and down in there. So yeah, nice little addition to this piece. And then yes, obviously, you know, you have your bulb release assembly here, and then obviously this is static only at this moment, so no electronics. And then coming down here, this is a Sloth Furnace V2 card. Actually, I had this come in yesterday, so I put it in the clamp in the right orientation, I guess you can say, because he cuts it in the size. So, and then these are the Roman sidebars, straight sidebars, that they come silver, and I painted them flat black to match the prop. And then yeah, as you can see here, you got the dull finish of the Custom Saber Shop clamp, which I prefer, as well as the material and size of the clamp sleeve. Matches a vintage more. And then orientation wise, more or less this card lines up straight with the S port. So when you look at it, these are in line, so that's an accuracy detail on its own. And then the grips here, I always go with Gino. It was recommended to me by a friend, and I decided to go that route on all my props. So I did the correct spacing. And one thing also is I did a few, so they say 93.5 is the length of the grips, and I went, you know, because it's not going to be perfect on the prop, so I went, you know, 93.5, 93.3, 93.6, all kind of varying, so you can see a little bit difference in the spacing of it. And when that's butted up against the grips like it should be, you know, some are a little bit of gap. And then obviously the positioning here I changed as well, because we know this isn't going to be perfect on the prop, so it's going to be a little bit of variation, but I tried to match that as best as I could. And then obviously coming down in the pommel, you have your general 3 circles on the rubber portion of the cap, and I angled these grips as well. So yeah, I'm really happy on how this prop turned out. And one thing to take note with these earlier Romans is the plating. As you can see, some discoloration on the ports. That's usually how these early versions are. Now the newer versions I've seen do not have these that plating issue there, which is, you know, I had this prop laying around, and I bought it secondhand, and I decided, you know what, let me finish it off. And I went with a V2 because I had the vintage board. I ended up selling it a couple weeks ago just to get some funds back, but luckily I was able to get a hold of Brad from Sloth Furnace and have him do this card for me. But yeah, it is not known what color the board PCB is. Some say it's more of a bluish teal. Some say it's green, because those are options on the Exactra calculator. Exactra 19, Exactra 20, or a TI 2000 is where you can find these special LED cards, and that's one very standout item on this hilt is the card. A lot of people like that, but yeah, I do like it as well. It is nice. But yeah, also one thing is you have that, I made the iconic lever scratches. You can see in some reference material, there's a scratch there, and that's just from the lever literally being swiped. And then, I'm not sure if you can see in this lighting, but I tried to imitate a vintage Flash's appearance. I went up and down with the clamp, with the plastic sleeve. It can leave a little bit of light, very light scratching that you can see in lighting. But I went with that to imitate a vintage, because that's how they usually are. It's kind of scratched up. They're not perfect. So I tried to imitate that little bit of a flaw going on. But yeah, I'm really happy on how this hilt turned out. And it's actually for sale, if anyone's curious. I built this in terms to sell it. So that's my goal right now. I'm doing some, I guess, commissions, you can say. I'm going to be buying some items to build out and then listing them for sale to get a good, get established in the community, show what I can do with these props for accuracy. And I hope people enjoy that. And I'm going to start doing it more frequently, but I'm going to sell this first before I get too carried away and ahead of myself. So it's for sale. You can contact me on Instagram, even not about this, but if you want to check out my Instagram, it's Stripeback Props, as well as, you know, you're on my YouTube channel. So appreciate if you guys would stop in and subscribe to the channel and see what I have in the coming weeks and months for projects. I like to post and keep you guys updated on that. But yeah, guys, just doing a nice detailed overview on this hilt. And let me stop talking for a moment, because I'm going to do a nice up close, accurate, you know, get all the accuracy details in the video, so you can see all the small little things that I've done on this hilt. So yeah, I'm going to shut up for a second, and I'm going to do a nice panning of the hilt and go over all the accuracy details. All right, there you are, guys. I like to do that more often in my videos, to just show you guys all the details without me blabbing along. But yeah, so this was honestly a very fun project I did here, just to get all the accuracy details that I could, and to show how this hilt would have looked like being from the movie. But yeah, guys, so I appreciate you stopping into today's video. Definitely check out, I have other uploads as well on props that I've built / have others built for me. But yeah, just keep in the loop, and I'll be uploading here on the projects I do. And then yeah, like I said, if you can, check out my Instagram. That's where I post the most on my story and whatnot on projects and builds I have going on. But yeah, all right, guys, I appreciate you stopping into today's video, and take care.